Ralph Klammer and Benedict Hansen. The floor is yours.
Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. So I will start this short presentation. So we discussed how we do that, and we decided to start with the boring part. So we start with the editing environment for the Open Augmented Reality teaching book. And hopefully you can see my browser, and in the browser you can see my view of the GitHub. Yeah, so I'm inviting you to join this open environment. Yeah, so and you can participate if you have a GitHub account. Yeah, that is the only thing you need. I have also posted the link for this web page. And what do you see? Yeah, so this is a very normal GitHub project. Yeah, so and perhaps many of you already know that GitHub is not only for creating cool open source software project, but also for open educational resources like interactive books we have done. Yeah, so how do you do that? Yeah, so it's like developing a piece of software. Yeah, so you have the normal functionality that you mean you can just download the code or clone it as an own Git repository on your computer if you have Git installed, but you can also open it via every normal browser, and also within the environment we have a browser. What you can also see on the left, so that we have relative small numbers of contributors in the moment. Yeah, so we're actively supporting the project, but we got more and more input via these collaborators from other people, from experts who even have no experience in using GitHub. They are just sending chapters, materials to us, and we incorporate that into the book. Yeah, so and what you see more, yeah, so we have here some instructions, for example, where you can find the book, how to set up for local use, what is the book about. And also we have a little wiki. Yeah, so in the wiki you can learn in very few steps. Yeah, so how to produce chapters in the book. Yeah, so first of all, the book is written in Markdown, which is a simple web language for designing web pages in a simple format, which are then later transformed by a software into web pages. And also a little bit how you can add figures and badges and things which are shown later in the book. Yeah, so let's go for a little example how it looks like. Yeah, so this book has different chapters which are just sorted into directories as on your hard disk on this GitHub project. Yeah, so and you can access them as you would access files. Yeah, so and even if you are not want to use it on your local environment, you can also get into the working on that by just editing that in this web environment. Yeah, so look at the code. That is how it looks like. Yeah, and you can just start here the editing mode. Yeah, so and that is all you need to do. Yeah, so and then everything you add here or modify here will be transparently stored and pushed to the server. And in this project, we also integrated tools from GitHub, which are helping us to automatically produce the end result. Yeah, so and we cannot only produce this end result, we can also produce other end results like PDF versions of the book or for different audiences. Yeah, so and that are plans for the future. Yeah, so but in the moment, this is the first official presentation of the book. And now I would like to give the floor to Benedict Hansen, who is working with me here in Aachen on the project and also on the book. And he will now show the result, which is automatically created by this project on dedicated web page. And the floor is yours, Benedict.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we can see that we also have a nicer form of this book. That is the form that you will actually read then and use in your educational courses. So when you create new content for the book or update something, it automatically gets generated into this HTML page here, which then gives you the entire overview of the book. So you can scroll down here, click on the cover to go to the table of contents. The book starts off with an introduction, which shows some general motivation and then some history and future of augmented reality. And after that, the book is divided into two big parts. One is the foundation, which is the more theoretical part. It has some sections about design, so going into the perceptual foundations, human-computer interaction, so how to design and create a augmented reality application, which sort of processes are possible to use for that to create prototypes. After that, there's a section which goes into computer science, so which programming languages you would need, which then more advanced topics, for example, your software architecture, so what to bear in mind for this. We then go more into depth about more different topics of computer science, for example, computer graphics here, going into the details there, for example, how 3D objects are represented and how the actual image is created for these virtual content. We have a dedicated section for hardware foundations. So for example, which display technologies exist and how they relate to the augmented reality technology. There's a section about tracking technologies. So we show some different tracking setups that can be used for augmented reality to track the head movements, for example, or movements of the user's hands. And after that, there is the big second part of the book, which is the more hands-on practical part, which actually goes into the concrete technologies and the libraries that can be used to create AR applications. First of all, we cover possible platforms that can be used. So, for example, there are chapters about mobile AR, and also the shift of AR to the web is one thing that is covered there. After that, there is a project guide. So this one goes more into detail about the AR agile project management. So how are you actually able to have a development process and create an AR project from start to finish? So which steps are there? Which methodologies can be used? So for example, Scrum. And there's a section about continuous integration in here. So this is more general introduction about it. After that, there is this section for AR application design. So here we go more into the depth of actually going step by step with examples showing how wearable interaction can, for example, be created. There's a section about gamifying your AR application to create more motivation for the users to return to your application. And then finally, we go into the really implementation parts with the tools and libraries. Here we focus on Unity. So we have a general introduction to Unity for people who've never used it before. Then we go into this mixed reality toolkit, which is an open source toolkit by Microsoft, which can, for example, be used for the Microsoft HoloLens. There are some tutorials about different aspects here about that. So general setup, and then we go into more details here about sort of spatial awareness, for example, how can you actually use the environment in your application and how can speech be used as input, for example. And after that, there are some more advanced Unity techniques, which are not necessarily related to the mixed reality toolkit itself, but are more on the general side of Unity. So something like understanding dialogues, how can you actually implement that? We go into the performance side of things. How do you optimize a application that you've created? And also an important topic is collaboration. So how you create collaborative augmented reality experiences. This is also shown. And we go into this continuous integration and unit test with a hands-on example then. And finally, we have this last section here, which is about the digital content creation. So once you're able to know how you can create or implement applications, you also need to fill them with content like 3D models. So we have a dedicated section that introduces different modeling techniques, for example, composing primitive shapes or intersecting them with Boolean operations. We have some parts that cover the digital sculpting process to create more complex organic shapes, 3D scanning and photogrammetry to base it on more sort of real objects, for example. And then we go into the sort of manual methods like manual mesh creation and modeling, blocking things out using box modeling, retopologizing, scanning to get better topology and more suitable and workable models. And finally, a technique called subdivision surface modeling, which is also for smoothing out objects. Yeah, and finally, we also have some parts about texturing these models, so actually getting color on them, creating some surface colors for them. And finally, there's a dedicated tutorial which covers the 3D scanning and animation parts in more detail about that. So this is the entire structure until now. So we are always looking for new contributions to that. So we can add new chapters here or enhance existing chapters. That is all possible so far. And that would then be done by contributing to this GitHub repository that you've just seen. And once you, for example, fork the project there and then create a pull request, it will be reviewed by some other community member and then integrated into the book, which then will end up on this HTML page here as well. So if we look into one of the chapters, for example, this one, you can see they all have a similar structure that they first start with some content, showing you what is actually in this chapter. We also have some icon coding for each chapter. So for example, this one here shows you that it's a more of a tutorial, since it's showing you this code symbol in there. We also have reading chapters and chapters which are more of the theoretical part, and also some chapters which are don't require you to program anything, but are still hands-on chapters, for example, in the 3D modeling parts. So these are all color-coded or icon-coded with different design languages. Yeah, and after that, we have the different parts. And for example, here starts the actual tutorial that we can see. It has a introductory video that shows you what the tutorial will cover. And after that, it starts by step-by-step guides that show you in screenshots and also with descriptions how you can actually realize the functionality that is shown in here. Yeah, and this is essentially the structure of the book so far. We also have some blog posts which can be written, which, for example, inform you about the progress of the book. So if new chapters are added, they are shown on here as well to inform you. You can also subscribe to that using the link here at the bottom. So there's an RSS feed, for example, that you can use, or also we have social media, which will also show you this. Yes, so thank you very much.